Hi everyone, and welcome back to my tiny house in the forest. A couple of days have now passed since I built the porch in my last video, and time has now come to put cladding up on the walls. And of course, like with the rest of the house, by using local and/or eco-friendly building materials, which I will talk much more about later in the video. It's the last week of May, and I have given myself this 1 week to complete the walls so that I could give myself a much needed rest from building the house come June. A deadline that I would be hard pressed to make. And also would be a bit more time and energy consuming than first expected. But it was my luck that I didn't know this when I began.
Hvorfor skal der være fuld bredde? Vi kører på en måde på det hele. Kan folk ikke vente lidt på hinanden? Så kan man lave nogle krydserne før?
Ja, jamen det tænker jeg, at det er lidt som Spotify. Ja. At de bare har sådan nogle abonnementer på det musik, de sætter til.
okay, jeg har ikke hilst på dig, og du er allerede i konfliktmode. Og det var virkelig sådan, og jeg tænkte, okay, den har været herude. Jo, men det er også godt at holde pæsen.
Ja, men det er også bare fordi det her, jeg kan se de her plader begynder at bule.
Men der ville hun heller ikke have børn. Han havde et barn i forvejen, og han ville gerne have et barn mere. Og så havde han fået et barn med en regnbuemor.
Der er fandme ikke meget fyld tilbage.
Hans kone lige så ham i Aarhus spille på stadion, hvor de sagde, at lyden havde været helt af helvede til.
Nå, jo.
Det var lidt ærgerligt. Ikke tættere end noget. Vi kan lave lidt arrangement i Permahaven i Morgen.
Ja. Tjen mig godt. So now I'm finally ready for putting up sidings on the north wall of my house, and I thought that I wanted to explain a little bit about the process, because it might look a little bit different in your cultural context or just the way that you learn to do it, and also because of many of these materials are quite different to like what most people use, even here in Denmark. But the brown plate, a lot of you have asked about it. I explained it in an earlier video and I will gladly do it again. This is actually a very sustainable product that serves a multitude of functions. So the brown plate is kind of like a wind and water shield, like below or beneath the actual sidings of the house. It's like a climate screen, I think you could call it. And it consists of just pure wooden fibers, no toxic glue in it or whatever, because it's just compressed wooden fibers, and they figured out a way to do it so they can resist water and wind. So this is a very sustainable product to use, and also they are made with tongue and groove, so they really have a good shield against wind and water. And then these brown plates, they also serve the function of stiffening up the house, because it's basically just one big plate when you have all these tongue and groove connections with the different plates on the walls, and it just makes so that the entire house is just like one covered in one big plate in a way, or a couple of plates, and it just stiffens up the house greatly. Also because I have these wooden plates on the inside of my house as well, so it's like double function. And then also these plates have an insulation value, because they are 2.2 centimeters thick, and again they consist of pure wooden fiber material, so it means that they have an insulation value as well. So they stiffen up the house, they have an insulation value, and they also protect the house from wind and water that might get behind the outer windscreen, which is the boards that I'm putting up. So that is that. And then we have the windows, and that is one of the reasons why these walls take me so long to do. It's because it takes a lot of time to prepare the windows, and what I'm doing is that I'm tucking in insulation around the window, and it's of course wooden fiber insulation, but it has the ability that it can suck water. So therefore I'm tucking in, on top of that, I'm tucking in this tarred rope, which is hemp rope that is treated with wood tar, so that it is more resistant to water and doesn't rot. So it is a good way to screen off or seal off from the water that might get in behind the window. Even though it's not supposed to do it, but if it does it anyways, I have this extra barrier around the window. And it also has an insulation value because it's wood. It's like a little bit like wool, so it has the same quality in a way. So that's what I'm doing right now, and also I'm tucking in some tarred rope under the window, so that if any water gets in behind the windowsill, which will go out here, then again I have the same protective function with this tarred rope. And then what I'm doing is that I'm creating like a frame around the window that seals off this hole between the window. The reason that there is a hole in the first place, like this ridge, is that because windows need to have some air around them, and doors also, because they can expand, because it's made out of wood. So when it sucks up moisture, it will expand a little bit. So, and if the window expands too much and there isn't any room for it to expand, it will just pressure in against the posts around the window, and then it can get stuck and you cannot open the windows, or even worse, the glass can break because it creates so much pressure internally on the window. So therefore you want to have like air around the window. So that is why I have this gap that I need to fill out with this tarred rope, and also then seal off afterwards with this board that I put around the window, which you have seen me doing. And then these half boards, they connect down to the windowsill under the window, and the windowsill gets underneath the window and clicks up into this small ridge that you can find under the window, because then it kind of seals off so that the water cannot get behind that ridge. And if it does anyways, then I have this tarred rope for protection against water. So yeah, it's a lengthy process, and it takes a lot of time to tuck in all of this insulation, but I kind of need to do it. But it's well worth it because like you can lose a lot of heat in the house if you have not insulated around the windows properly. So that is a very important thing to do. And when I've done that, I can start putting up the vertical lists and then the horizontal lists on the walls afterwards. outside, so now I got the first row of boards up, and I just wanted to give a comment or two about the way that I chose to build up this wall. Because the first layer that you saw, it might not make a whole lot of sense to everyone, but these were the vertical boards that I put up, and they are for ventilation purposes, so that when the hot air travels up behind the sidings, then it can be channeled upwards, because it goes upwards because hot air. So that's why I have these vertical boards. And then I have these horizontal boards behind the sidings, because I need something to screw, obviously, these vertical boards onto. So that's why I have kind of like 2 layers of boards behind the siding. But I know that some disagree that you actually need to put the verticals up in this case, because I have like 2 layers of boards, so there will also be some kind of ventilation behind these boards, and some think that it's fine enough to just have that, but I wanted to be better safe than sorry, so I chose to do it this way. And then there is a question about how you turn the boards, because I actually turned them in the way that the soft side of the wood in a way is pointing outwards, and it's not always ideal, because ideally you would want to have the hard side of the wood facing outwards. But the reason I did it the other way is because you can see the boards, they are kind of like they bend inwards, so I thought that it would be prettier if they were turned this way, because if I were to change these and turn these around, then they would bend outwards in a way at the ends, and that would not be that pretty, I think. So that's why I just chose to do it like this. But normally when you put up siding on the house, you don't have these edges, so you just have a straight board, and then you can just turn the board so that you have the hard side out without having any aesthetic problems out in the corners. But I don't think it's a big problem, because it's perfectly vertical siding, and it should last for a whole lot of years. These boards are 2.5 centimeters thick, so they can last for a very, very long time. So I don't think it is a big problem. I just wanted to mention why it is that I do it like this. So now I only have to put up the second layer of boards, and then I'm actually done with the siding of the house for now. So now I better get going. So finally done with the last of the first 3 walls for the house. I will save the back wall for a bit later when I have built the cold room, so I won't be putting sidings up on that anytime soon. So I feel like I'm done for now. And what a beautiful evening to enjoy this finale, because this has been quite the run, quite the week of putting up sidings. I had this naive hope that I could take one wall a day, but I quickly learned that it just took me so much time to do it because first I had to do all the insulation around the window and the tarred rope that I tucked in as well, and it took a long time. And then I needed to put up all the vertical boards and the horizontal boards, and yeah, that could easily be more than a day's full work just doing those things. And then there were, of course, the boards. Putting them up has taken me a day per wall, and the gable wall was absolutely the worst because it had so many cuts at an angle. Yeah, I'm a bit tired now, but I'm relieved that I'm finally through. It took me 6 days to put cladding on these 3 walls, so I totally underestimated the amount of work, as I always do, actually. But for now, I think I will take a break, a building break, because I'm just physically and mentally a bit tired of building. Like, I've been at it now for 6 months in a row, more or less. And also, in the meanwhile, I haven't talked too much about this on the channel, but it has been so extremely busy on the private front, because in my family, my mom has been hospitalized, like very promptly. Like, it was all of a sudden here in winter she was hospitalized, and me and my siblings needed to be a lot with her to help her back on track, and at the same time she was also moving into a new apartment, because that was put in to motion before she found out that she needed to have this heart surgery. So everything just happened at once, and while she was training up, and she still is, like regaining her strength and muscle power, she also had to move out of her home, which was my childhood home, and she has been living there for 40 years and started our family there. So it was quite an emotional journey just to move out of that house, and just in a rush in a way. But actually my sister bought that house with her husband, so it stays in the family in a way, but it has also been quite busy with like them having to move also into that house and out of their old house. So it just means that I have been away every weekend for the last 3 months or so now, maybe more, 2 or 3 days, and sometimes 2 days a week, while also doing all of this at the same time. So I've just been so extremely, like, I've had almost no time to rest. So therefore, I promised myself that I wanted to rest in June, which was also why I kind of sped up my tempo with these walls, because then I could relax in June and July, more or less, just doing garden stuff and just, yeah, doing some small stuff on the house. And I just need to get installed in this house now, so I will just focus on the inside of the house from now on. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it and maybe even found some inspiration. See you again next time.